Watkins. This is my lovely wife, Dr. Alicia, and we're in different locations. So we decided to do this pillow talk in kind of a almost like a Zoom style. Most of the time, it's audio, and actually, speaking of that, you guys know that this podcast is also simulcast on Spotify and Apple and a lot of other places. So if you are in your car or cruising in your Jeep or you're a truck driver or anything like that, and you want to check out a lot of our content, just look up the Dr. Boyce Breakdown on Spotify. How's everybody doing today? How's everybody doing? Give me a yes in the chat if you can hear us okay. Give us a yes in the chat if you can see us okay. And I want to ask my wife, how are you doing today, babe?
I'm all right this morning. How are you doing? You're out of town. How's it going for you?
It's going good. I'm at Black Wall Street, and I am super pumped. I was pumped up and pissed off at the same time. I did a tour of Black Wall Street, and there's this brother named Cody who gave a great tour and really told me a lot of stuff that I didn't know about Black Wall Street. And I'm going to bring him in. I'm actually going to bring him into the Black Business School. This brother was so sharp, and it was crazy to me. People don't understand the magnitude of Black Wall Street. People don't understand. They don't understand. They don't understand what O.W. Gurley and J.B. Stratford and all those. They don't understand what they did. How they created a culture of Black economics that we can't create today. Like literally, they had just one example. This is many. They had 21 grocery stores just in that one little area of Black Wall Street or North Tulsa, the Greenwood section. And so 21 grocery stores. Do you know how many they have in that area now?
I think you said, did you tell me one?
One. They have one grocery store in that area now. Back then they had 21. And in fact, they had all kinds of other businesses. They had movie theaters, skating rinks, the doctors and dentist offices, candy shops, just all kinds of stuff. And I learned about O.W. Gurley and how it was his mindset that created all the economic possibilities there. Like he had all this land, and he told people, he started building on the land. And he said, look, you can have an office in this building. You can put your business in this building, or you can buy the building under one condition. The condition is that you must put another Black business in your building and allow them and charge them a percentage of profits. Don't charge them rent, charge them a percentage of profits. So he did little things like that to really create an economy. And I really think everybody, in fact, give me a yes in the chat, and I'm gonna stop talking about this. I probably sound like a crazy crackhead right now because I'm so pumped up from what I've seen. But give me a yes in the chat if you will promise me that you will teach your kids about Black Wall Street and also teach them about O.W. Gurley. I really give me a yes in the chat, a confirmation that you're going to teach your kids about O.W. Gurley. It's Gurley. And I'm going to bring Cody into the Black Business School. So everybody who's a member of the Black Business School, which you can join for free, can come to the event for free. But you've got to teach your kids about O.W. Gurley before you teach them about all this other nonsense. Okay, so give me a yes that you're going to do that. So I'm going to stop talking, babe.
No,
so what's on your mind?
I have a question because there's so many people that don't know about Black Wall Street and what happened. And Gurley, are you saying that Gurley was the mastermind behind building the Black Wall Street? I'm really curious. Could you say just a little bit, say a little more? Who is this person and what happened? What happened to Black Wall Street?
Well, it's a long story, and actually, I think it's a little bit beyond the scope of our conversation, right? Because we were going to talk about the whole prenup thing with Charlemagne and whatnot, which I think is really interesting. But O.W. Gurley, long story short, and I'm gonna put his picture up on the screen.
Make it very short, please.
Yeah, this brother was basically the guy who went out west and bought a bunch of land and said, we're going to put businesses on this land and we're going to own everything. This was a time before Black folks had access to, Pell Grants and student loans and corporate jobs. And he just bought all this land and said, we're going to just we're going to have our own. We're going to own everything and we're going to run everything. And so he bought the land, he built it up, and then he started recruiting Black business owners to the area. He said, look, if you want freedom, you can't have freedom without the economic power. So he brought them in, and next thing you know, they just had these massive businesses there, and they were doing better than the whites in at least a couple areas. This is something people don't know. They were doing better than the whites in Tulsa economically, and they were doing better than the whites in Tulsa, even in terms of like the quality of the men that were there. A lot of the men that were there were veterans. Shout out to all the veterans in the room. So these men had guns, ready to defend the
Okay.
area. So when the whole Black Wall Street massacre began, because that's what happened, white folks got mad because of a black man allegedly touching a white girl, which is a really compelling story. When you hear the real story, it's going to freak you out. But basically, when that happened, people don't know that the black people were actually winning the fight. They were winning the fight until the white folks started flying airplanes and dropping bombs onto Black Wall Street. When they came with the planes, they couldn't respond to that. But they came with the planes because they couldn't fight them like straight up toe to toe.
Dirty, down and dirty. Yes. Thank you, Boyce, for that. Okay.
You're welcome.
That was long, by the way, but you could have just said, in a nice short way, but it was very interesting. But let's get into our topic.
Okay. Well, by the way, I want to tell everybody what you're listening to. You're listening to Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins, or you could be watching. We're actually doing video now. We don't do video all the time, but sometimes we will. And also, don't forget this podcast. You can find all of our content on Spotify, Apple, etc. We have actually 1.4 million subscribers across different YouTube platforms. A lot of people don't know that. And so, in fact, if you want to advertise on the platforms, I can actually show you how you can do that. You can actually go to drboycefinance.com. That's where you can actually purchase shout outs and advertise if you want. So do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. So let's hop into our topic today. So you and I were talking about this interesting article about a guy that we've met in person many times named Charlamagne Tha God. Now, Charlamagne Tha God is the host of The Breakfast Club. He's one of the hosts, and he's just good. He's killing it, and he is making a lot of money. And you sent me an article, and so I'm gonna let you actually start the conversation, babe. You sent me an article that really surprised me, where it said that Charlamagne doesn't want to have a prenup, that he does not have a prenup in place, that he doesn't want one. And it was a lot of it. He gave a lot of credit to his wife for helping him build his career. He gave credit to his wife for standing by him during tough situations. And he just said, we're never going to get a divorce. We don't need a prenup. And that surprised a lot of people, because he's made some money doing the things that he does. So can you kind of speak to that in terms of what made you even send that article to me?
Oh, you know what? I was just interested. It's kind of a long story, but I just happened to just look up. Actually, I just happened to look up Charlamagne Tha God because I do remember meeting him. You know him way better than I do, but I do remember meeting him maybe once or twice. And I was just happened to just be searching for him. Long story about how that came about, but I thought it was really kind of refreshing to see his love and dedication to his wife, and how he really talked about he couldn't even be where he is today if it wasn't for her driving him to interviews, supporting him in his life dreams. And that's something that I talk to a lot of my couples about when they get to the point where they need to have conversations about how the marriage and your role in the marriage help to support your partner. So if you tell me about your hopes and your dreams and your aspirations, my job is to make sure that I'm doing everything possible to help you achieve your personal goals. And it's your job to do everything possible when I tell you what I want for my life, to do everything that you can to help me achieve my goals. And I thought it was a beautiful illustration of the right thing for couples to do with each other. And so that's why I sent that article to you, because, it is nothing like, having someone say, I want to be a broadcaster. I want to start my career and do all of these wonderful, lofty dreams. And it's nothing more beautiful than to have somebody that's going to support you. She supported him through everything. He said that he spoke in the article about how he lost his driver's license. So she couldn't even drive. So she was like, don't worry, baby, I got you. I'm going to drive you wherever you need to be to make sure, because she believed in him and his ability. And, she was with him when he had nothing and she had nothing. They were just starting out. I thought it was beautiful. Excellent illustration of what a marriage is supposed to be. I do hope they stay together forever. And I just love that. I think that it's something that all of us should tune into. All of us should really do this with our partner is to make sure, what are you doing, Boyce? Let me help you achieve your goals. I think it's so great. Yeah.
Well, let me let everybody know. Charlemagne, according to Celebrity Net Worth, which you can take it for what it's worth, they claim his net worth is about $10 million and that his salary is $3 million. I'm going to guess that it's probably more than that. I think he makes more than $3 million a year. I think also he's worth more than 10 million. Charlemagne is he's a good businessman. He's super savvy, super smart, and I've had a lot of conversations with him through the years. I met Charlemagne in 2006 on the Wendy Williams show when he was hosting, when he and Wendy had literally created the #1 radio show in all of New York City. And and I remember when I met him, I didn't know him from Adam, and he asked me about my book. I had a book called "What If George Bush Were a Black Man," and Charlemagne said, "I'd like to read your book." I said, "Okay, well here you go." I had a copy there. I gave it to him, and and the next time I came back to the show, honestly, I didn't think he was going to read it. I was like, yeah. Here you go. Yeah, of course you're going to read it. Wink, wink. Dwayne, what's it? The Wayans. Is it Dwayne Wayans? Oh, Damon Wayans. Damon Wayans. When I met him, he said the same thing. He's like, yeah, I want to read your book. And I gave it to him. I don't think he read it. So anyway, Charlemagne had actually read the damn book. When I came back, he had read the whole book, and I was super impressed by that. And I think that he understood, because if you look at Charlemagne's life and his history, he's had some tough times. He had some run-ins with the law. He's been locked up, and and then there's been other stuff, kind of happening, etc. What I see with Charlemagne is a guy who is super smart at knowing how to be relevant in a culture that I think deep down he probably feels like a lot of hip hop culture is just stupid. I really do. I think deep down he's thinking this is so silly, but I got to be silly with him. I got to know how. So he's smart enough to pretend to play the clown, but I think deep down he's actually an intelligent guy. And so through the years, so here's what happened. I remember when he was at the Wendy show. The show suddenly it just kind of fell apart. Basically, I guess Wendy started fighting with some people there, her and her husband or whatever. So she left abruptly with WBLS. And I still remember I did an interview with Wendy, and I talked to Wendy for maybe an hour right before she was about to go to TV. And she was telling me about it and how she was nervous about it and everything. And it was really an interesting conversation. She's actually pretty smart too. And here's the thing: when Wendy left to go to TV, I don't think she took any of her team with her. Like my good friend Taryn, she didn't take Taryn. She didn't take Nicole, who was her right-hand person. Charlemagne was one of the people that got kind of dumped to the side. So here's what happens. So Charlemagne goes from being on that #1 show in New York City to literally hosting like a public access radio show in South Carolina. Like it was literally one of those shows where nobody's listening, and you probably have to even buy your airtime. And so he's hosting this crappy little show that nobody's listening to, but he stuck with it because he loved his craft. He didn't just sort of say, well, I ain't getting paid no more. I'm going to go back to doing something else or whatever. No, he kept doing what he was doing. He was a committed content creator.
Yes,
and I respect that immensely, because I see so many people who claim they want to do stuff like this, but they're like, well, how much am I going to get paid? And I'm not going, or if they don't have enough listeners, they'll just stop or whatever. He kept going, and he would call me. Me and Lawrence will tell you. Lawrence, my brother, who we were working together, he would come in my office. He'd be like, Charlemagne wants to interview you today. And I'd be like, damn, again? Because he's doing this stupid little show, and I knew nobody was listening. But I started thinking, well, if I was down and out like him, I'd want somebody to support me. So honestly, I was doing it to be nice. I knew nobody was listening. I didn't care. We talked for like a whole hour, and I'd be like, God, why are we on the air for so long? But I did it because I remember how he read my book when he was on the Wendy show, and I know I'd want somebody to do that for me. I'll be damned if Charlemagne doesn't end up on the Breakfast Club, and again rise right back to the top with the top radio show in the country. And I will never forget that experience, because that is one of the things that made me really respect his dedication. A lot of people don't understand, as much as you might criticize him, because he does do some things that I can't defend. He had that whole, you saw where Kwame Brown spent a lot of time talking about some stuff that allegedly happened a long time ago. And honestly, I hope the truth is revealed or dealt with on that, not in the court of Instagram, but the court of law. But still, I think overall there's something to be admired there. And what's interesting, here's the point I want to make on this with his wife, is that the whole time he was dealing with this stuff, his wife was right there next to him,
Mhm.
never left his side. You got to give credit to that. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah, and I think like the part that it, when he lays it all out just in that way, I think it made me feel good because he said, this is the reason why I don't want a prenuptial agreement. This doesn't make any sense, and I love that because just the idea, I personally do not like prenuptial agreements. I really don't like it. It's like, why can't you just trust me? Why can't we just verbally have a verbal agreement? Why does it have to be written down in a legal document? Why? And if you don't trust me, then why should we even be married if you don't trust me? So you know how I feel about prenuptial agreements in general, not specifically. I mean, everybody has their own situation, but just in general, the way they started out, both of them started out kind of with nothing, and they built this, this career. She has her own career, by the way. She's a fitness instructor. She owns her own gym or something. So, I mean, she's built her own business, and he's doing what he's doing, and they built this together. So, I think in situations like that, I don't think you need a prenuptial agreement, honestly. I think that, it's not smart to do one in that way. And that's my personal opinion. I know a lot of people disagree with me, but I just kind of feel like, why do we have to talk about so early on? We haven't even gotten married, and we're already talking about what's going to happen when this marriage is over. It just seems like, to me, it just takes the whole romance out of the whole thing.
Well, everybody, in case you just got here, you're watching Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. This is my wife, Dr. Alicia Watkins. And my PhD is in finance. Her PhD is in social work, and she's also a licensed therapist. And she's been doing this work for a very long time. We love to talk about topics that relate to love and money and everything in between. And if you'd like a free e-copy of my book, Financial Lovemaking, you can go to boyceandalicia.com, or you can also on boyceandalicia.com, you can join Dr. Alicia's database. She's building a singles database of Black singles around the world that want to get together. So if you are looking for the right person, you can join this database for free. Alicia just loves matchmaking. She's going to do matchmaking at the All Black National Convention with speed dating and stuff like that. So feel free to go to boyceandalicia.com. Hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. Let's dig deep. So we're talking about Charlamagne and his wife. His wife's name is Jessica Gadsden. I don't know why her name isn't like, Jessica McKelvey, like, because Charlamagne's last name is McKelvey, or her name isn't like Jessica the Goddess, but she's or the God also. But anyway, so Jessica McKelvey, they've been together for over 2 decades. And in the article, and I'm gonna read some of this article, babe, and I'd like to get your thoughts on this. And on BET.com, they said that they've been together for 23 years, married for 7 of those years. In a video that surfaced online, Charlamagne revealed that the status of their relationship is solid and never changing. This is exactly why the pair never signed a prenuptial agreement. He shared that his wife, who's a fitness coach and personal trainer, supported him throughout his career. She even supported him financially when he struggled to maintain a job in radio. Quote, "I don't have a prenup because me and my wife have been together for 23 years. Literally, the first time I ever went to a radio station to fill out an application for an internship, my wife drove me because my license was suspended." He added, "When I was getting fired from radio four times, she was the one going to work every day and paying the bills. When we were getting evicted, she was the one going down to the courthouse explaining to the judge why we couldn't get evicted. What the fuck do I look like doing a prenup?" He recounted their relationship, saying that he and his wife are high school sweethearts and that his oldest daughter is the reason he proposed to his wife. Quote, "You have to show your kids love. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to get married. When you have your 4-year-old daughter asking you why you and mommy don't have the same last name, that affects you as a man." So maybe her last name really is McKelvey. So maybe I got that part wrong. They didn't when I Googled it, it didn't come up as McKelvey, but maybe I was wrong on that. But that was a big deal. I mean, I don't know. What do y'all think in the chat? But I think hearing a Black man talk like that, it's not as common as it used to be. And it really speaks to their value system. It speaks to the core of who they are. It almost says that he's speaking to a higher set of principles that's bigger than just, which girl's got the biggest booty. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is a good dedication to a Black woman that's been there for him through thick and thin. And I don't think there's anything unique about her. I think there are lots and lots and lots of Black women who would easily do. There's Black women I know today that will be there for their man if they down and out. They like, come on, baby, get on up. You can do this. It's just something built in us. And I think that any woman that won't do it, it's an anomaly. I think for the most part, Black women are just there for Black men. And a lot of times we picking up the pieces and encouraging our Black men because we see the potential in you. We see what you can do. And we're there for you, even to our own detriment to some extent. We're always doing that. We do that to our sons. We do that to all men. Like, that's just our nature. It's just to give love and encouragement. This is what I'm seeing in my world. Okay. This is what I see. And I'm in contact with a lot of women and throughout my life. And even currently, I think that is culturally, what we've done. I mean, think about slavery, think about all the things that we've been through. We're always kind of the backbone of the Black community. And this is a great illustration of that.
Well, I can't disagree with that. In fact, actually, I want everybody in the chat. I'm gonna give you a test. Give me a test. How many of you? I want you to name one Black woman who's been there for you when times were tough. Women can do this too. It's not just for the men. But I want everybody. I want you to just, because we should give credit where it's due. And I want you to name one Black woman who, bailed you out of jail, paid your tuition when you couldn't pay it yourself, had your back, in a difficult situation, nursed you back to health, helped defend or protect you when nobody else would. I want you to put the name in the chat of one Black woman. Let's shout them out. One Black woman. This is Black Woman Appreciation Day. We need more of these. I don't know if it's okay for me to create a holiday on the spot, but I really kind of think we should do that. And so put it in the chat. And I'm gonna read some of the names back because I think this is important. Let's see. Michael says my wife. Carmen says my cousin Candace. RC says my wife Gwen. Willie Mae Quiller says Shelton Quiller. That's a good name. Willie Mae Quiller. I love that. Let's see here. Natalie says Eric. Let's see here. My grandma Hazel says Aisha. The housing blog says Connie Hughes. I see Latoya M. Austin, Linda Flynn, Dr. Andrea Rhines says Erica, Marion, and Sally Bell Allen. Those are great. Those are some country names.
I love these
names. Sally Bell. That's a good name.
Sally Bell gonna be there for you. Sally Bell is solid.
Well, and so let's just have an honest conversation here, right? Let's talk about another couple that isn't as solid, at least publicly anyway, as this one. Let's talk about this one, right? Now, so right now you have Kanye, who is literally melting down on Instagram, like melting down over what he considers to be, unjust treatment of his children, what he sees as, Kim Kardashian doing him wrong. And Adidas is doing it wrong. The Gap is doing it wrong. So a lot of people, I guess, are doing Kanye wrong.
A lot of people right now. Yeah, he needs a Sally Mae. Kanye West needs a Sally Mae.
Yes, he does.
He needs a
well, he had one, right?
In his life. He needs something.
Kanye had a Donda.
He had a Donda, and she's not there anymore. And it's a void. I'm certain it's a void that could never be filled. But he needs a Nana, or we'll just call her Nana. He needs a Nana in his life to pat him up and to set him straight too. Mm-hmm.
Well, here's the point I want to make on that, right? I feel like Charlamagne married him a Donda or a Nana. Mm-hmm. Like he married him a young Nana.
Yep.
He married him a Black woman that's got those Black woman values that, that like I'm gonna come through for you in tough situations. And I feel like for Black men, we have to think about these things because the biggest investment you make is in your relationships. And the woman that you pick by your side, if she's not sort of built for this, then you're gonna fail. You're gonna struggle. And so with Donda, you think about it, Donda made Kanye. Kanye named an album after her. That's why I think he named a school after called Donda. There's a lot of stuff called Donda.
I've
So,
never seen, look at that smile on his face. I've never seen Kanye smile like that.
yeah,
I would
yeah. And
love to
so,
see a picture. He doesn't smile at all. That concerns me. I would
mm,
love, like, that smile is from the gut. You could tell I'm happy. You don't ever see him. He hasn't smiled since she's passed. Honestly, I'm trying to think when was the last time I saw him smile. He's
wow.
so heavy. This is the impression I'm getting. He's coming across this way to me. He's so heavy with the stress going on in his life. He just seems to be real heavy with, all these pieces that he's trying to put together for his business. And he has all these dreams and excellent aspirations and all of these things that he wants to get done. He has a lot of creativity in him, clearly, that he needs to get out in the form of music and clothing and, all of this creativity. He's got to express it in a way. And he's coming across some challenges in doing that, and he doesn't look happy. So, that's my biggest concern for him. And I think, like, I'm not speaking just for myself. I think I'm speaking for all the Black women out there that just look at him and go, "Oh, baby." Oh,
Mhm.
we just,
Well,
you know.
well, that's an interesting point, right? And I'm not here to criticize anybody's life choices. I mean, because I think we all make mistakes, but it's really unfortunate. Like when you talk about trading, a Donda, there's a lot of young Dondas out here. There's a lot of young Black women who are smart, who will have your back, who will cheer you on, who will stand by your side, even when you're acting a little bit weird. And then he traded it in for a woman who's posing with her booty out on magazine covers. Like this was Kim Kardashian's latest
Who
magazine
is
cover.
that? That
That's
doesn't even look like
that
her.
is Kim Kardashian. Yeah, she totally changed her look. She's got blonde eyebrows now, and literally I didn't. You can't see the whole picture. You see half the booty, but just believe me, if I showed the whole image, you would see the entire booty.
Please don't be looking at that. You can't look at all that.
Right, and so my thing is like it's interesting because you see Kanye very upset because his wife. He doesn't want his daughters to grow up and be like his wife. But daughters want to grow up and be like their mommy.
Hang it
Who
up.
who is a greater influence on your children than mommy? Y'all tell me. Y'all tell me. Is there anybody that is a greater influence on what a daughter is going to become than the mommy? So I think with Ye, I think that he has to.
He
I
has to
compare and
accept some of
contrast.
that. He has to adjust to that, accept it, and figure out a way to compromise with her on that, because there's no way out of it. They're
Mhm.
there. That's the decision he's made. He just has to face all of that. He can't control all of that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, by the
Mhm.
way, everybody, in case you're wondering, you're watching Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and I'm a finance professor. My wife is a professor of social work and a licensed therapist. And if you want to learn more about the work that she does, she sees clients on a regular basis. You can actually go to coachingwithdralicia.com. The URL is right there on the screen. Feel free to take a visit. I'm a big believer in therapy, and she's one of the best. And also, I have to always mention that I want everybody to be careful because I guess as my platform grew, there are fake Boyce Watkins accounts out there all over the place. Dr. Alicia has some fake accounts. So if you ever get a message from somebody messaging you saying, "Hey, it's Dr. Boyce, how you doing?" Send me an inbox message or call me on the phone. That's not me. And I have to warn you guys just to make sure that you don't get taken by these people because they're terrible. And I hope you'll report their accounts. They're literally on every platform: Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, whatever. So so I guess some thoughts as far as the Charlemagne thing. When you're talking about Charlemagne, sort of praising his wife in public, which I really love. I love the fact that he's not falling into this whole, women ain't nothing culture that some men are buying into. You have men out here that literally think that a guy who loves a Black woman is a simp, and I think those guys are the actual simps. But I don't want to make fun of them because they're probably just damaged individuals who have bad relationships with their mothers, or they had no father. They never saw their father love their mother. They never saw a Black man take the time to take care of them, so they feel that they also don't have to take care of children, stuff like that. but you have so many good examples of men that are really out here rebuilding Black families. Like you have Russell Wilson and Sierra, who I think are doing a wonderful job, at least publicly, of presenting that image of saying we're solid as a rock in terms of not worrying about what ignorant people have to say. You got Future, this rapper who isn't that smart, who acts like a drug addict, who's over here saying ridiculous things. They're not responding to it. They're responding with complete dignity and class. You have other examples besides Charlamagne and his wife. You also have, people like, what was it? Not this couple. I'm sorry. This Beyonce and Jay-Z. Let me take this off the screen. Sorry. You have Beyonce and Jay-Z. You have Michelle and Barack. You have these examples of Black love that I think are really hopeful, that provide hope for people that want to believe Black people aren't all a bunch of they want to fight this horrible image of us as a group of people where the men don't love the women, the parents don't care about the children, and none of us care about the family, right? So you've got that divide. You've got those people that don't understand, and then you got people that understand that family is a source of power. What do you think, in terms of how it feels just for Black women to kind of see, some of this stuff that kind of goes on in terms of people that seem to want to promote a gender war between Black men and Black women?
You know what? It can feel very lonely and isolating if you're not in contact. Like, I think that's one of the beauty of going to the All Black National Convention and events like that, because if you're in your own little silo in your own little pocket, you feel like you're the only person doing these things, but it's refreshing to see these images, because we haven't always historically been exposed to all these beautiful images of what the Black family is, and what healthy there's a ton of healthy Black couples out there that don't even have to be, related to sports, and you don't have to have a lot of money either. I think that's the issue too. Like, I kind of like some in the back of my mind, it's like, okay, so we see all these glamorous people living their best life on yachts and stuff like that. But, for every example that we see of football players and athletes and musicians and all stars, there's doctors and lawyers and professors and people like me and you, Boyce. There's people, I call us regular folks here. There's people like us that are doing our thing. We don't have to be multi-millionaires in order to be happy. You can be happy, with just anything. And so I think, because let me just tell you this, I have been the therapist to not only Black families, but also Hispanic families and white families. And I will have to say that I really don't think our problems are extra ignorant. I just feel like there's nothing really, there's some beauty that I see as a theme across Black families that you don't see with other families. I really do think that we are internally kind of fighting this Willie Lynch letter, that it doesn't even matter if it's a real or if it's not. We're internally kind of fighting that. And I see a lot of Black men say, my father wasn't there for me growing up, and so therefore I'm going to be there for my children. And they really go hard. I know a lot of women, Black women, who say, my family was a little kind of not the way it should be, but I'm going to make sure that I do everything that I can so that my family can stay together. And that dedication, I don't see that in other cultures. I really do feel like it's a boomerang. And I'm hopeful because of what I'm seeing. It's a boomerang where there are tons of families, that are saying, forget this. We're not going to live our life like this. We're going to be together as a unit. And this is what's very important to me. And not only that, but I see a lot of Black men stepping up to the plate and saying, I'm going to be involved in my children's life. I'm going to make sure that I help out my wife around the house, that it's just not going to be, I'm dumping on her all the time. They are pitching in the house, because these are real problems between couples. Like, why am I carrying the whole weight of the household? I see a lot of Black fathers doing that I don't necessarily see with other cultures as much. So I think what I'm saying is that Black families are ahead of the curve in a lot of ways, because the arrangement team tends to be more egalitarian. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it's not so dogmatic where the woman has to be the brunt of everything. I see a lot of Black men and women working together as a teamwork. If I hear teamwork one more time when I meet with couples, I'm just going to be jump for joy because that's what I hear Black couples saying. I want us to work as a team.
Well, I mean, and that's what it is. I mean, that's the thing. They want the Black man to always be a little boy. They want him to be undisciplined. They want him to be immature. Racism. This is racism, y'all. Racism wants the Black man to be disorganized. They want him addicted to drugs. That's why they promote this stuff. And then next thing you know, you come along and you say, well, I don't want to be ignorant. I want to be intelligent. I don't want to be on drugs. I want to have a clear mind to be able to plan a future. I don't want to just disrespect my women. I want the Black woman to feel good and to feel loved and protected when she's around me. So you come along and you talk like that, then unfortunately you have some people that think that that's lame or that's square or that you're a simp. And I think overall we have to fight like hell to say, no, not us. That's not what you're going to do to our people. You're not going to turn our men into these just disheveled, weak little undisciplined bums that don't have the ability to take responsibility or to protect anything. And that is really mission critical for the Black community. Like that's really something that we lost. Y'all lost that when y'all started imitating white people. When immigration or integration came along, and you decided to believe that ice was colder and all this other stuff. You lost a lot of that. Like when we were talking earlier about Black Wall Street, a lot of people don't even know how well the men fought to defend Black Wall Street. They don't even know that when Dick Rowland got arrested for allegedly touching a white woman, the Black men got together with their rifles and went across town. Over 100 of them went with their rifles across town and said, "Oh, you're gonna give us our boy back. You're gonna give us him. You're gonna give him back to us." So ultimately, what we got to understand is that unfortunately, we have to be real clear about who we are, because some of our people have lost their way. And it's unfortunate that when we talk about Charlemagne, just giving props to his wife, saying, look, she's the queen of all this. I'm going to share everything that we built with her. There are a lot of men that would say, oh, that's lame. That's stupid. What's wrong with you? That shouldn't be a rare story. White men, they love their women all the time, and other white men don't run up and say, "Oh man, dog, you being lame, man. That's lame." No, Jeff Bezos, his wife, when they got their divorce, she became one of the richest human beings on the planet because she was there back when Amazon was nothing, when they were driving across the country with $50 in the bank, trying to start this little fledgling company. So I think what Charlamagne said, again, it's not. It's not the only way to go about marriage. I mean, I don't think prenups are necessarily a terrible thing. You and I did a prenup because, we both had assets and it wasn't about protecting the assets. In my view, the prenup was more so about making sure that if there was a parting of ways, that it was orderly and that you minimize confusion. Like I don't like messy breakups, right? And I think that, and you, in fact, you've actually, from what I understand, did you tell me you even taught a whole class on how to break up properly or how to part ways properly? I don't know if you.
Well, I'm putting it together. I haven't finished putting it together, but I mean, I think everybody's situation is different, and I don't think across the board everything needs to be. You have to have. I'm not one of those people that feel like every couple has to have a prenup when they get married. I think I think in our situation, you've worked really hard and sacrificed a lot to be financially stable. You saved a lot of money, and we have a lot of assets, that each of us individually have accumulated. And so, I think that's, the driving force around the prenup is, you want to legally protect what you have. And you have a whole business that you have with your brother and all of that. I think to legally protect that it was important for me to demonstrate that to you, that that's not in my intention. So it was a totally different thing. But of course, some people think, prenups can be cold and harsh and offensive, but at the same time, it can be logical and practical and reasonable, I think. So it all just depends. You have to do your own research and figure out what's the best for you. Yeah.
Absolutely. By the way, in case you just came in, you're watching Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. This is my wife, Dr. Alicia Watkins. And Dr. Alicia is a licensed therapist and a full professor of social work. She's also a certified clinical trauma professional. I want to say that right. Yes. And that's really something that I think is really important for our people, because many of you probably don't even know that you've been traumatized at some point in your life. Maybe you do know. And I think that what we have to understand is that dealing with your trauma is how you eventually form healthy relationships. Dealing with your trauma is how you have healthy finances. Dealing with your trauma is how you make healthy choices. And unhealthy choices in terms of health, wealth, and relationships are typically driven by traumatic experiences and things like that. Whether you're talking about overeating on fast food that kills you, all the way down to bad sexual choices, to bad economic choices. So
drug use, all of that, alcoholism, all of that is related to trauma, particularly early in age.
Okay. Yeah. And so I encourage you to get some help with that, wherever you get that help. And also, I want to mention everybody, and Lioness Crown is in here. So Jade, yeah. So she knows about the All Black National Convention, and the All Black National Convention is around the corner, and it's going to be October 28th through the 30th in Charlotte, North Carolina. This is the premier gathering of all the B1 people from all around the world. And it's going to be super lit this year. It's going to be awesome. We have billionaire Mike Roberts coming through. The chairman of the Air Jordan brand, Larry Miller, is going to be there. We have all kinds of panels and breakouts on everything you want to learn. And so if you are pro-Black and you want to be in a space with other people that believe the things that you believe, that we believe in family, we believe in Black wealth, we believe in Black intelligence, we believe in unity. If you believe in those things, then the convention is for you. You can actually learn more by going to my website. I put it all on my website at boycewatkins.com. You can buy your tickets there. If you want to be a vendor, you have a Black-owned business, you can become a vendor there. If you want to volunteer, if the ticket price is a little high and you want to help out in exchange for a free ticket, well, you can volunteer. There's a training process you have to go through, and we got to make sure, we got to go through the clearances. But if you'd like to volunteer, you can actually do that on my site. So just look for the links, and all that's at boycewatkins.com. So let's finish up on the Charlemagne conversation, babe. So overall, I'll just say, I even though Charlemagne comes, there's a lot of baggage that comes with talking about Charlemagne in terms of, the good and the bad that's kind of happened. And we know hip hop's kind of a messy space. We know Charlemagne's had some controversy. I think overall, the big message that I'm getting from this is that he's not really saying, that I wouldn't sign a prenup with anybody. It sounds like he's saying that, almost like if you think of your life like a company, like a business, he's saying she's vested in the business. She was an investor from the very beginning, so she's going to get treated as a partner in this process and not as somebody, I think that's different from him marrying a celebrity. I think another interesting point, and LeBron James could probably speak to this, is that I find it really interesting that you have this guy who literally is wired into almost every celebrity in the country. There's not a Black hip hop artist or actor that doesn't know who Charlemagne is. So he has his choice. There's a lot of women that would love to be his wife. But who does he marry? He wants to be married to the lady that was there at the very beginning. LeBron is the same way. What do you think about that? What do you make of that?
I'd like to know what you think about that, because I know people were like, why would you get married to Alicia? Who is she? She ain't nobody. You're supposed to be seeking out someone famous.
Dr. Boyce is simping.
Foreign to social media. I don't know anything about social. We weren't even Facebook friends until we started dating. I had no idea anything about you, really. But I mean, I think the question goes to you to answer. But I think for me, I think men, you know what? I'm sorry. I think men want to feel needed, not only for like what they can provide, but for who they are. And I think it's a conundrum for a lot of men who are successful to try to tease out who's with me because they really love me or who's with me because they think they can get ahead. And I think that's probably an issue for men because you want to have a safe place where you can rest your head and be able to divulge and talk about all the things that you've been carrying around all day. And you want to have someone safe enough with you to do all those things. And I think it's a little bit of a tricky situation when you're not sure of individuals' intentions about why are they just with you because they want to be a power couple and they want to have a come up for what's going on with themselves, or are they with you because they really love you? And a lot of men, if they're honest with themselves, they want to be with somebody who really loves and respects them. And so why not be with the person that was with you, when you were struggling, and the person who was helping you struggle? Why not share in that? And then when you have children with someone, what's going to happen? Why are you taking money away from your children's mother when at the end of the day, the children are going to get it anyway? Think about it. You can't spend it all in a lifetime, and you shouldn't. You're going to end up giving the children right back. You're going to end up giving the money right back to the kids anyway. They're going to get it anyway. So what difference does it make?
I think there's a difference between giving money directly to your kids versus giving money to the mother who gives it to the kids, right? I think that, and I can say this just as a veteran of child support, I made every single payment I was supposed to make. And it was tough because I felt like it was taxation without representation. I felt that I wanted to have more say over where that money went, because what happens is it's very difficult when you make a big child support payment and then the next week, the same day or 2 days later, your child says, "Dad, I need a new pair of shoes," or "I got a field trip coming up. Do you have an extra $200?" And you're like, "But I already sent this money, and that money should be going toward whatever," right?
What did you do when that happened? Did you say, "Oh, hold on a second, let me talk to your mom about it and we will get back to you"? Or did you say, "I gave your mama money, ask your mama for it"? What was the best response, Boyce?
It was so long ago, I don't remember. And also that's so close to home. I don't want to be offensive to my child or her mother, but I can say that it was difficult. It was very stressful. Well, I'll tell you what, I went through the child support process and I said, I'm never doing this again. If I have a child, I need to be in the house with my kids until they're 18 or beyond. I am not going to be in any situation where I marry or have children with a woman that does not understand that I must be in the house with those kids every single day, And so when I eventually got married, remember when I got married, I got married past the childbearing age for a lot of people. I didn't want to have kids. When you and I got married, I wasn't thinking about having kids anymore. But back when I was, say, in my 30s and thinking about possibly getting married, I needed to know for sure. I literally was at a point where I'd been traumatized so badly from the experience that I felt like I need to have a legal contract that guarantees and protects my rights as a father, because I just seen so many fathers lose access to their kids. And I just think that's the most heartbreaking thing we can do to another person.
The legal contract, that doesn't exist, by the way.
Well, shit, I was going to try. I was going to try.
Yeah, that's always a leap of faith. But the thing is that, anybody who's struggling, you just laid out some child support issues. But, when you've paid more than your share in child support and the child's coming to you, I think it's best to say, very interesting. I'll get back to you. Me and your mom need to talk about that and we will get back to you. So I don't think you need to let a child in, because children don't know anything about child support and all of that. They shouldn't know about that. Their minds just don't think that way. They're just thinking, I need something, I'm just going to ask somebody for something. And so I think the best way to deal with it is say, oh, okay, so you need some shoes, or you need money, a jacket, you need a coat. Let me talk to your mom about it and we will get back to you. And that's when you have a private conversation with the custodial parent in this case. When you say, okay, hey, what's going on? Because the money is for child support, money is for this. You weren't married to the mom. And so I think it makes it a little kind of shaky if there's no marital, you had a child out of wedlock. But I know with marriage, if you dissolve that marriage, I mean, there are some protections in place. You will have a child support order, but you will also have visitation. Like that's the very first thing they talk about is how are we going to deal with the kids? They talk about that first, and then money comes later. So things have changed a lot. Laws have changed since AI, even a decade ago. Things are different. Fathers have way more rights now, I think, than they used to. It's getting better for rightfully so, and parental alienation and all of those terms have started to emerge in people's lexicon, and a lot of courts are starting to understand what parental isolation is and what it does. So we're getting better with that sort of thing, just in case, your marriage is dissolved and you're dealing with co-parenting. It's not the end of the world. You don't have to end up like what Boyce was talking about. There's some legalese that can protect you and make sure that you have visitation and make sure you have all the rights that you are entitled to as the non-custodial parent.
Yeah, and I don't even want to live in a world with custodial and non-custodial. I'd rather, I mean, I'm not going to have any kids, but I would say anybody in their 20s that wants to have kids, I think that I like Charlemagne's energy when he said we're just not going to get a divorce, period. And to me, I think that if that's what you want, if you and your partner are both determined to never get a divorce, I believe you can actually create that reality for yourself. You just both have to really be honest about that and really wanting that. And I think also to answer your question earlier about why a man with, who meets women around the world and has groupies and all that would pick a woman that he knew from back in the day, I think it does become a trust issue. I'm not nearly as famous as Charlemagne, and nor would I ever want to be. However, I am famous enough that I did, I have met a lot of people, and things change, when people know you and whatever. And what I found was that there's a big difference between the woman who got to know you after you kind of had everything versus the woman who knew you before you had nothing. And what can kind of be difficult is not just in terms of not knowing what they expect, but you kind of know what they expect. Like they see you as that Superman that they heard about. It's really, I'm just telling everybody, it's really interesting when almost everybody you meet already knows you really well before you even know them.
It is.
Like you meet them and you're telling them about yourself, and they're like, "Yeah, I already know
that.
I
already know that.
I know that. I saw that podcast. I heard when you said that. I read that in your book." And so that's kind of weird right there. But you get used to it. But then what I think happens too is that when somebody meets you and they know you as Superman, they don't really want to always get to know Clark Kent. They're not really in it for like the hard part of being with Boyce Watkins. They're only in it for the exciting part or for the good part. It's so maybe the way to compare it would be like, think about how differently some women look when they put their makeup on and they do their hair and they get dressed up, versus how they look when they just, rolled out of bed, got stuff in their eye, breast stinking, armpit stinking, or whatever, right?
Oh, scarf on their head. They got a scarf on their head at night.
Right. Just, comparing the two. Right, comparing the two. No makeup on, no nothing. So imagine if every man you met you when you were looking your absolute most gorgeous ever, and he fell in love with you at your most gorgeous. But then later on, at some point, the makeup's going to have to come off. And I've seen women that wear so much makeup that they can't have relationships because when they take the makeup off, men are like, wait, that's not you anymore. That's not the woman that I fell in love with on Instagram when I saw your pretty pictures. So that's a danger. There's a danger between.
They were using filters on Instagram too.
Say it again.
They were using an Instagram filter, so they don't even look like that.
Yeah, that's a scary place to be. So honestly, I think that people have to think about that. There's a downside to, sort of having your image enhanced, whatever that means, whether it's your physical image or just your public image. I met a guy not too long ago who said, he looked at me, he said, "I thought you'd be taller for some reason." and I think because he's like this booming voice, this Boyce Watkins. Right? I'm like, no, I've been the same height I've been my whole life, And so I would just honestly say, generally speaking, I think that's why, you'll see a guy like a Charlemagne who will marry the girl that he knew in high school. LeBron marries the lady that he knew in high school. But then also remember that those women have had to deal with a lot of these transitions that occur, that maybe do involve, things like some, a little bit of cheating or infidelity or whatever, or what. And that's the part that I think where it says that even her journey is not this sort of beautiful fairy tale people think it is. I think it's got to be weird to be in a relationship with a person who goes where you're watching them and they literally go from being a regular person to being an international celebrity, like over the course of time. That's got to be hard because suddenly all these new people are constantly coming in to the life of your partner. And I would imagine that there's insecurities that can come up where you're thinking, gosh, now that he knows all these beautiful women, is he still going to keep coming back to me? That's got to be tough for the wives.
You have to keep rededicating yourself, and you have to keep being encouraging and really have those hard conversations. Like, no, I just want to be with you. You really need to confirm to your partner because it can be overwhelming. It can be overwhelming, I think. Yeah.
I think it can be. Okay, well, you know what? This has been a great conversation. I've really enjoyed talking to you, babe. And by the way, I want to say thank you to everybody who hung out with us on Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. My wife, Dr. Alicia Watkins, she has a great practice and she sees lots of couples and things like that. And just is really good on areas related to therapy, relationships, even trauma. She has a trauma certification. So if you are interested in knowing more about what she does, you can go to coachingwithdralicia.com, or you can follow her on Instagram at Coaching with Dr. Alicia. Now, those of you that want to come to the All Black National Convention, it is going to be happening soon. It's going to be in Charlotte, North Carolina. You can, I would love for you to join us October 28th through the 30th when we're in Charlotte. Alicia's going to do speed dating. We're going to have the B1 ball. We're also going to have lots of panels and speakers and breakouts and trainings and keynotes on all kinds of areas related to everything from business to politics to relationships to wealth building, all kinds of stuff. So if you are interested in joining us, you can actually get your information by going to boycewatkins.com. I put all the links there. There's a link if you want to buy a ticket. There's a link there if you want to be a vendor and so and promote your business, make some money. There's a link there if you want to be a volunteer. Maybe the price is high and you want to work in exchange for a free ticket. And also there's a link for a discounted hotel. Do not pay the full hotel price. The price of the hotel is cut by, I think, about 50 to 60% for everybody that wants to come out. So you hit that link for the hotel. That's how you book your hotel. We're going to be in Charlotte. We hope you guys will join us. It's going to be awesome. Dr. Alicia and I will both be there. So thank you all for hanging out. God bless you. And thank you, babe. It was great to see you.
Nice to see you. Okay. Bye-bye.
Have a good day, everybody. Right, bye-bye.